Spider-Man is probably the most popular hero on the entire planet. Your mom knows him, your dad knows him, and you love him. And if you hate Spider-Man, click off this video. This is not for you. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. Growing up, if I wanted to be anybody, and I mean anybody on the planet, no matter what, it was always Spider-Man. So I feel like I'm qualified to talk about this because my love for Spider-Man is over the moon. That does not mean I'm afraid to shit talk a project like the Craven movie, which I do not plan on seeing. I can say without a doubt, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is a fantastic Spider-Man show. I'll admit I was extremely afraid that it was going to be mediocre, but I am happy to be wrong. This show is definitely worth a watch, and it's very enjoyable. I think if you're a Spider-Man fan, you will get enjoyment out of this. Now, I want to talk about some pros and some cons that comes with this show. Things that I liked and some things that I didn't like. I'll try to be as spoiler-free until toward the end of the video. If I spoil anything in my pros and cons list, then it's just things you'll learn early on in the show. Let's talk about the pros. First of all, we have a brand new, unique cast of characters around Peter Parker. There's no Mary Jane, there's no Gwen Stacy, we don't have a Ned, no Betty Brant, and there's not even a Flash Thompson. Instead, we got Lonnie Lincoln, we got Miko, we also have Pearl, and we get Harry Osborn. Now, this is quite different from your typical Spider-Man cast when it comes to Spider-Man stories, but I can say this is a welcomed and fresh new change, and it's actually pretty nice to get to know these new characters and to learn about them. And the performances in the show, I can say, are pretty damn good. Whew, they casted Spider-Man pretty well. Everyone here sounds like they're doing a solid performance, and I'm very much enjoying it. I find Spider-Man cool, funny, and well portrayed. I can tell you my favorite voice actor right now is the man who's playing Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is fantastic in this show, and his dynamic between him and Peter is oh so good. Now, I have a confession to make. When it comes to the MCU version of Spider-Man, I do not like the relationship he has with Tony Stark. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a relationship or that Tony can't make him the Iron Spider suit, but I feel like Peter has relied on Tony and his tech for too long, which I can say that the new direction in the MCU for Spider-Man, they clearly are trying to move away from Tony Stark and him using that tech, and we're getting a more independent Spider-Man. Now, this is a minor spoiler, but Norman Osborn takes on this role for Peter. I love the relationship between Norman Osborn and Peter Parker in this show, but I did not like Tony Stark's and Peter Parker's. That's because in this show, Norman Osborn is helping out Peter. He is trying to mentor him in a way. You can tell from watching the story, this is not a mentorship. It's a mentorship disguised as a way for Norman to control Peter. You can definitely tell that Norman sees Peter as more of an asset, somebody to inspire. And I really like that dynamic because that doesn't mean Peter's relying on Norman like how he did rely on Tony Stark. It means Peter's still on his own here because Norman isn't helping him. Norman is using him, and I really like that idea. That's something I haven't really seen yet in a Spider-Man story. I'm sure it's probably been done in a comic, but nothing I've seen yet, so I'm very excited to see where this goes. Another awesome aspect of the show is actually my favorite character in the show, and that is not Spider-Man or Peter Parker. My favorite character right now is Lonnie Lincoln. Lonnie Lincoln is so cool. He starts off as this very nice jock who's actually very intelligent, very helpful, gets good grades. He seems like the perfect student, but we get to see Lonnie and his story twist and turn towards something a bit more darker. We get to see how gang-related violence affects his life and how it kind of absorbs Lonnie into that life, which is very compelling and entertaining. And I feel like it really hasn't been told that much in the Spider-Man story. And this was before who I realized Lonnie Lincoln was supposed to be. At first, I thought he was an original character because I wasn't familiar with a certain somebody's real identity. I mean, if you know, you know, but maybe we'll talk about that later in the video. The next thing I really liked is how they handle Harry Osborn in this show. Harry Osborn is not annoying. He's not whiny. He's not a man-child. He is unlike anything we've seen in the Amazing Spider-Man movie and in the Tobey Maguire movies. Not saying that I dislike Harry Osborn in the Tobey Maguire movies, but I do dislike him in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. But here, he is just perfect. We find ourselves introduced to some rich kid who's out of touch with reality when it comes to normal people money. But Harry does struggle with something here. He struggles with making real, genuine connections. Most of his life, he's had people just trying to use him for money or fame. So it's really nice to see somebody who's not used to making genuine connections grow as a person through this show. Harry Osborn is also someone I'm very interested in to see how their story plays out. And my last absolute pro for the show is they are not afraid to depict dramatic and intense fight scenes. There are some great fight scenes here and there. I've noticed some frame drops between certain scenes, which is fine, that's bound to happen with a TV show. But I can tell you the action is there. They understand how Spider-Man moves. They understand the importance in a Spider-Man fight. Minor spoiler warning. My favorite fight in this show is Spider-Man versus Scorpion. Oh, it was amazing. This show is not afraid to get violent. It's not afraid to show blood and death. And that's all I'll say for now. I think it's time we talk about some of the things I didn't like while watching this show. And there's only a few of them, but for me, they're kind of major. Now, I understand that this show is trying to go for the old comic book art style, which is great. It wants to pay homage to where Spider-Man came from, but I think it makes the show look lazy. I've just noticed while watching it, there's a lack of detailed facial features. There's also a lack of shading and shadows, so it just makes everything look plain and kind of boring. And it's hard for me to sit here and watch this when I know they're capable of producing something like X-Men 97. If you haven't seen X-Men 97, its art style is phenomenal. They take that old 90s cartoon superhero art style and translate it to like a 3D palette, and it works very well. In fact, I would have been okay if they would have done something similar to the What If art style, but I don't know, this art style just doesn't do it for me, and I really hope they make changes in season 2. Now let's talk about something that's more of a pet peeve of mine. You may feel differently. You may love what I'm about to talk about, but for me, I don't like it. I understand that this show is supposed to be a prequel to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and later down the line they made some changes because they wanted it to be separate from Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Well, it's extremely distracting for me to see all these MCU references in this show. I understand some people might look at it and be like, oh, look at that, the Soviet Accords. Oh, it's connected. For me, it just seems unnecessary to the story and distracts from Spider-Man. Like, I don't understand why we're showing the same airport scene from Captain America Civil War on the TV. It's just like I have Mickey Mouse pointing at me and being like, oh, look, it's connected. It's connected. Look at that. Your favorite thing. It's connected to this thing. And it's like, I didn't need it to be connected. I'm already invested in this unique version of Peter Parker. I don't need to be reminded that it's not in the MCU universe, but it's MCU adjacent universe. Just slight changes here and there. So for me, I don't see how it adds value to the show. All it is distracting for me. But like I said, you might see it and be like, oh, that's awesome. I love that they're connecting this, which is really cool. So those are my only two major cons from the show, besides a few story elements. Otherwise, the show is really good. So I want to talk about some of these spoilers. So this is for people who have seen the show already up to this point. So huge spoiler warning. I want to talk about a few things that I liked and maybe didn't like. All right, assuming if you're still here, you've seen the series and you like it. So let's talk about it. I think episode 1 and 2 were fine. They were focused on setting up the story, and I wouldn't call them super engaging because we were just trying to learn about the world that Peter's in right now and learn about his friends and the people who's surrounded around him, which is awesome. But episode 3, I think, is the turning point when Norman discovers Peter's identity, and then he does that proposal of like, Peter, we should work together. I could make you the best Spider-Man, which is fantastic. And the show only gets better from there. I mean, in episode 4, we get the reveal that Doc Ock has been behind some of the technology loose in the city. We get to learn more about Lonnie Lincoln's story. And then in episode 5, oh, it hit me and my jaw dropped. Because like I said, I didn't know who Lonnie Lincoln was because I know him as a different name, a name that he gets called in this show. His nickname in his new gang, Tombstone. Hell yes. I am so down for this. We haven't really seen a Tombstone origin story, so I am all for this. I'm already invested in who Lonnie is, and I can't wait to see what they do with him later on in the show. Now, later on in the season with episode 6, it was alright, but I will say, I loved the Daredevil fight. Ooh, that fight was very entertaining, and it was a nice surprise. I feel like the show had manufactured drama. Like, it forced a conflict between Nico and Peter with how she learned that he was Spider-Man through Harry Osborn. I really didn't like that. And I'm not saying she can't know who Spider-Man is. It just felt like a very inorganic way for her to find out. I wish they would have written that differently, because the way they portrayed Nico in the show, I did not like her that episode. It made her seem like more of a selfish person. And in other episodes, you don't see that. Nico's a very nice, lovable person. So it just felt out of character in episode 6. But I will say, I do like her dynamic with Harry Osborn, because it seems like they're gearing up for them to be more of a thing, if you know what I mean. So episode 7 is my absolute favorite because the fight between Spider-Man and Scorpion was so intense. Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. Watching Scorpion pierce his stinger through people, killing them. Ooh, that is what I needed. I didn't know I needed that, but I needed that. And then watching him stab Spider-Man and blood go everywhere, I was not expecting Disney to go this far. So kudos to them. They are not afraid to show this kind of violent battle, to show how scary some of the people Peter fights, which is awesome. It really does give me hope for the show later on, because I was a little worried that it was going to be more kiddie fights. You never know with Disney, so I'm always apprehensive. But otherwise, that's just some of the spoiler talk I wanted to talk about. In conclusion, I can say this show exceeded my expectations. It is way better than mid. This show, I would say, is not perfect, but it is great. This is a great show, and I can't wait to see what they end up doing with it. If you like this video, please leave a like. It certainly helps. And please leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite aspect of the show is. I love having discussions with you guys. Anyway, that's about all I want to say for now. I am excited to see what they do with this show. Anyway, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm stealing it, Markiplier. Come at me. You want to fight, bro? Me and you, boxing ring 2026. Just no one tell him that I challenged him, okay? Thank you.